All right, so Keith is nice enough to stick around and take some phone calls. Be nice, ladies and gentlemen. You can have a good conversation and be nice, whether you're a MAGA supporter or not. I tell MAGA supporters to be nice to me, but it doesn't always work out that way, and then I'm nasty to them. Anyway, Keith's been listening to me for years, he's told me, so he knows I get into it with callers sometimes. All right, let's get right into it. What do you say, Keith? 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jessica. Jessica is first up on PTL. Hey, Jessica, you're on with Keith. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I've been watching for a little while now. I actually live in Nebraska, is where I live at. I'm actually a Democrat. I live in the central part of the state out here, so I'm a rarity out this way. But no, I was calling in. I get, and I know you said to be nice, and I'm going to be nice. But, honestly, I think that you need to take that Dodgers jersey off because that is an all-American sport that was created here in the States, and you people do not represent patriotism at all.
Well, tell him why.
Any of you are patriots.
So tell Keith
why. Because you support a dictator. You deport somebody who wants to take freedoms away from people, freedoms away from women. I live in one of the states where they are trying very much so to take abortion and access to things away from women. And I'm pissed about it. I'm done having children, but, I do have a daughter-in-law and things like that. I have sisters still and stuff.
Well, let's ask Keith about that.
Complications.
Let's ask Keith about that statement, Jessica. Taking women's rights away, abortion. Keith, what are your thoughts on what Jessica has said?
Oh man, this topic is just.
But it's important, though. Keith.
I understand. I don't want to get too much into it. I'll just say, he sent it back to the states.
Right, but the reason why it was sent to the states to begin with, and the reason why 20 states. Abortion is illegal in some of those states, no exceptions for rape or incest, is because of Donald Trump, because of the Supreme Court justices.
I wouldn't say it's because of
because of the Supreme Court justices that he put in place, and Donald Trump still brags about it, and he says he's proud of the fact that Roe versus Wade was overturned. He said that on the record. Do you agree with that? Let me ask you that. I don't even know what your position is on this. You have a 9-year-old daughter?
That's correct. Yeah, I don't want to tell anybody what to do with their body. It's their decision, and I'll leave it at that.
And we agree on that.
I'm an artist. I don't want to get in. It's such a.
But it's the number 2.
Nuclear.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you, Keith. If he does lose Tuesday, I think this is going to be the main reason why.
I disagree. The economy and border are the top 2.
Most of the polls across the country, the economy is number 1,
and Trump is crushing her.
Well, I haven't seen that statistic, but abortion is usually number 2, at the worst number 3 on everyone's list. There's a lot of women in this country that are very concerned about this.
It's out of my pay grade. I don't want to tell anybody what to do with their body.
And we agree on that.
That's it.
And we agree on that.
I'll leave it at that.
But can you imagine?
I have my faith that I believe in, and
I would never take that away from you. If you want to have 100 beautiful kids with your wife, I would. They'll probably be great artists. Go right ahead and do that. But why is it, and I'm not talking about you now, because I think we agree on this issue, and I think most Americans do, but why is it you think that the evangelical far right want to take that right away? They want to tell every woman what to do with their body. I don't want to speak for anybody else. I just know my beliefs on it, and I'm not okay. Well, we agree on that. It sounds like you disagree a little bit with a lot of.
I hope Jessica has a great day, and I've been a Dodger fan for 50 of my 52 years, and I'm going to keep being a Dodger fan.
You can be a Dodger fan, but I think what she was referring to, I think you know what she was saying was the freedoms of women, and it sounds like you're actually on her side on this issue.
I'm on nobody's side. My side and my family.
Well,
side.
You said it yourself. You don't want to tell other women what to do with their bodies.
I didn't say anybody.
Anybody. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
It's not my.
Keith, I agree with you. And I think most Americans feel the way you feel and the way I feel. All I'm saying is when you look at the extreme right, okay, they call people who are gay sinners. They're against gay marriage. They want to tell a woman what to do with her own body. And I just think that it hurts. It's going to hurt Donald Trump in the election. That's what I think. But we'll wait and see.
We'll see.
We'll see. You're right. We will see. That's why we have elections.
Yes,
all right.
yes,
let's go to Daryl. Daryl is next up on PTL. Hi, Daryl. You're on with Keith. Go right ahead.
Keith is bald, but he doesn't have to wear a hat to cover his hair. He embraces his baldness.
Okay, well, someone's on your side. They're saying you embrace your baldness.
You know why? Because I'm from Vegas. We just had the hottest summer on record here of my life. I love being bald in Vegas.
So I shave my head on occasion. My hat is my signature. I've been wearing it since I was 15 years old.
I've seen you with it.
But I'm going to bring up something funny here. Donald Trump's hair. He does have 4 hair transplants, Keith. Come on, man. Come on, man. Hair transplants. Come on, Keith.
Well, let me tell you
Give me
something
that
right
at least.
now.
Come on.
When I first started, because I had to study him for hours to really get his likeness down and stuff. His hair was such a, it took me a while. Yeah, it's like his hair was like it's 4 different pieces. His hair's got 4 different things going on.
Yeah,
So
it is a
took me
little
while.
strange. It is a little. What do you make about the orange makeup he puts on every day?
I don't comment on any of that. I try to make him look as good as I could.
Did you see the sculpture that they had here in Vegas of him? It was like 80 feet tall. Did you hear about that? It was like a naked sculpture that they brought to Las Vegas.
Yeah, that was.
What'd you make about that?
I was pretty disgusted by it.
You didn't like it?
No, I just
right.
some of that stuff I just don't. I mean, you got to remember, I'm a conservative. I'm an artist, so 99% of the people I deal with are winning liberal. So
Most artists are not Republicans. You're
no,
right.
they're not. Trust me.
We do agree on that.
I've taken a.
I'm looking at pictures of that. I was just looking at pictures of that sculpture now. All right, let's get back to the calls. It's not, yeah, it doesn't make him look good. But then again, when I see him with his girdle and his, okay, we won't get into that, Keith. That's 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Susan. Susan is next on PTL. Hi, Susan. You're on with Keith. Go right ahead.
Hi. So I'm actually a disabled veteran and
Thank you for your service.
woman.
Thank you for your service.
And no worries. My only concern is why people who have served think it's okay to fight for these rights and then allow people to then take them away.
That's a good question.
I'm not sure. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Why don't we that's a really good question. Hang on the line. Let's let Keith respond to that. Go ahead, Keith.
Ma'am, and I apologize again. I don't want to pretend to be something that I'm not. I have no idea. I wouldn't even know how to answer that question. Again, it goes back to my beliefs, and you served, I served, my brother's still serving. We follow orders, pretty much do what we're told.
Yeah.
Do we question some of them? Of course, we're human, but we still got to do our job. You got to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we defend the Constitution, we defend the Declaration of Independence, the way I see it, and the rest of that, I'm not sure.
Go ahead, ma'am. We'll let you have the last word there. Go ahead, Susan.
Well, so I'm also wondering, you mentioned that you had children. Do you
Yes.
by any chance have a daughter?
I do have a daughter. She's 9 years old. Her name's Reagan.
Okay. So how would you feel if she does not have any bodily autonomy if anything bad were to happen to her? Because that's pretty much outlined in Project 2025, which is what
but
Trump is running off
I
of.
disagree, ma'am. Mr. Trump.
Oh, sorry, Project 47. Is that what you want to call it? I mean, it's a different name, but
disavowed
he's mentioned it
2025
over 300
20
times.
different
So
He did disavow, but he also has a lot of people around him that have he's hired that have actually put Project 2025
Like who,
in place.
though? Because this circle is really small.
well, and we're bringing it to the states, but there are women dying now
That's true. There was a
without having that
there was
care.
a teenager that just died in Texas. I don't know if you heard that.
I
It's a
saw that
horrible,
story.
Yeah.
It's
tragic
sad,
story.
Sad story. Very, very sad
So how is
story.
that? How is that making for a better America if you vote for Trump?
Again, ma'am, that's a topic I don't like to get too much into. And again, you have your beliefs, I have my beliefs. And again, I apologize.
I think
for not
that's the
giving you a
key.
good enough answer.
I think, Keith, you just said the key, which I think we will agree on.
And I respect
have-
you, ma'am.
So Keith, listen to what you just said because I agree with you. You have your beliefs. I have my beliefs.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
The separation between church and state.
Correct.
And we agree on this issue, but I would never tell people what to do with their bodies. By the way, even when it came to the vaccines, I have never said that they should have been mandated. But you can't have it both ways. And I'm not talking about you now. I'm talking about Donald Trump, and I'm talking about many MAGA Republicans that are okay with telling a woman what to do with their own bodies. And he says, well, we'll just leave it to the states. Roe versus Wade was overturned. It was law that's been in place for 50 years. I think we've ad nauseum talked about this issue, and I think we kind of agree, even though you might be against abortion, you don't want to tell other people what to do with their bodies. And I respect that opinion, but I don't think enough Americans think that way. And,
I think you'd be surprised. I think a lot of people do.
and that's why he's losing on this issue. Because
Every Republican, though, is going to lose on that issue, though, Brian. Every Republican has for,
well, then
as long as he's been alive.
maybe he shouldn't have put Supreme Court justices in place that are conservatives that overturned Roe versus Wade. That was his fault then, wasn't it? We have nobody to blame but him. He's the one who allowed this to happen.
I happen to like the justices he put on the Supreme Court.
Well, they overturned Roe versus Wade.
They
And
did.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right. Well, let's continue the conversation. Thank you for the call, and thank you for your service, dear. 702-221-7283. Who are we going to next? Let's go to Mark. Mark is next up on PTL. Hey, Mark, what's going on? You're on with Keith. Go right ahead.
Yes, I am a former U.S. Army combat medic. I was
for your service,
deployed in Iraq and Kuwait. No, don't thank me. I always don't thank me for my service because I don't respect anything you stand for.
Okay.
And when you stand with a guy that denounces the military and mocks the military and goes in Area 60 in Arlington National Cemetery and takes photo ops, and the Gold Star family did not know, with a statement stating that we didn't know they were going to take pictures. And if you think that a majority of the veterans in this country is standing with Trump, you are sorely mistaken because number one, the VFW came out with a letter along with the U.S. Army. The U.S. Army came out. Very rarely does the VFW respond to a presidential candidate.
Mark, let me ask him about that.
Imagine
Mark, hang on. Let me ask Keith about this. Since you brought up Arlington Cemetery, what were your thoughts on that? On
I
that
didn't have a
whole.
problem with it at all. He was there. Where was Joe Biden at? Joe Biden never even showed up.
Well, hold on a second. Joe Biden. Well, Donald
He's
Trump.
the president. He never showed up.
So you care about people showing up, right? Is that a fair assessment?
Well, the families loved having Mr. Trump there.
Over 60 people died in Afghanistan, soldiers, American soldiers under Donald Trump. Do you know how many of those funerals he went to? Since you care about people showing up. Zero.
I have no idea.
Zero.
Okay.
And the issue that I had, and you can tell me whether you disagree, Keith, is that he didn't have permission to take pictures in that area of Arlington Cemetery. Clearly, those were the rules.
Well, the families did come out and thank him, by the way.
Family, this is important distinction. You're right. The family who took pictures with him, but the family doesn't get to decide whether you can break rules at Arlington Cemetery or not. That's number one. Number two, some other families that were standing on that brave soldier's gravesite had a problem with him being there. The problem I have is there are
people
rules.
were happy he was there though, because Biden didn't show up. Come
Okay,
on.
well,
so we can disagree on
You
that.
can say Biden didn't show up, but again,
he was the sitting president. Didn't show up. He was on the beach 40% of his time in office.
Okay, he wasn't on the beach 40% of his time in office. I don't know where you got
He
that
was on
stat
vacation
from. And I can
40%.
also tell you Donald Trump was the guy who was mocking Barack Obama for playing too much golf. And actually, Donald Trump played more golf than in 4 years than Barack Obama did in 8. So if we're going to talk about vacation.
I don't know that stat, but I'll have to look that up.
Okay, well, you can look that up.
And by the way, I apologize. And
Yeah.
Mark, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. You were so angry with me. I hope you have a great day. I didn't mean to.
These are very passionate and
start anything with you, but I thank you for your service, and I appreciate you talking.
Yes,
but,
we thank everybody for their service. Absolutely,
But Mark, I will tell
that.
you again, though.
Yeah.
Well, after all the ballots are cast, and I hope you're still listening, I will guarantee. I'm in Vegas. I will bet any amount of money you want. I will go to the window. Mr. Trump will get more of the military vote than Harris will. 1,000%.
Well, I can tell you 1,000%. I don't know if that's going to happen.
It'll
or not,
come
but
out. I guarantee.
Why does he get less than 50% of the minority in the black vote? You think?
Because he's Republican. No Republican ever gets a high percentage.
Why
of that.
though? Why do you think that?
I don't
is?
know. I mean, there's a
Do you agree with J.D. Vance when he said, and by the way, I don't even know what this means. Maybe you could help me understand and get inside the mind of J.D. Vance, the normal gay vote, as opposed to the abnormal gay vote. I don't know what J.D. Vance is saying. And I think J.D. Vance has not done Donald Trump any favors. That's my personal opinion. But you think he's going to get the, quote, normal gay vote? I don't even know what that means, by the way. But
Again, Brian, I didn't hear
that's what he said.
Yeah, I didn't hear the quote. I have no idea about, but
fair enough.
I'm a very.
I know
big-
you don't speak for J.D. Vance.
I'm a big fan of Mr. Vance. I think he's been a major asset for Mr. Trump. I think he's going to help put us over.
All right, well, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
I mean, we
Childless
saw-
cat lady comments. By the way, how do you feel about working? Would you work for somebody that at one point you think is the next American Adolf Hitler? Because those are the comments that J.D. Vance made several years ago. He called Donald Trump possibly
I
the next
remember that.
possibly the next American Adolf Hitler is the direct quote that he made.
Well, as many times I've been called a Nazi just for being a Trump supporter.
Okay, well, I wouldn't call you that.
Anytime
but, yeah.
someone invokes Hitler, the discussion's over. You lose, the way I see it. My grandfather.
So why would he say that?
My grandfather was actually in a camp. I'm from
sorry to hear
Polish
that.
descent. And,
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying I'm laughing about it, but when I was a little kid, small child,
Right.
I remember he showed me his numbers on his arm, and I was like, "What is that?" I thought it was his tattoo.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No,
but Keith, hear me out on this, right?
Go ahead.
That's Donald Trump's vice presidential nominee. He called, this wasn't even 20 years ago or 10 years ago, several years ago, he said Donald Trump is, quote, possibly the next American Adolf Hitler. How do you respond to that? I mean, those are his words.
How do you have a running mate with stolen valor who completely lied about his military career? That's
So
disgraceful.
I would say that's whataboutism, and you're not answering
No, it's not
my question.
whataboutism.
Well, it is, because I'm asking you specifically about J.D. Vance's
I'm
comments
saying
about
if
Donald
Mark
Trump.
is still listening and Jessica's still listening,
and
who
there's no-
served,
and there's no-
they know he lied about his rank. He lied about where he served. He lied about him being in war. They know he got a DUI and said he was deaf, which is hilarious. It's like, really, dude?
Well, the question was about
The
J.D. Vance.
guy's a
but-
buffoon. But if you're talking about J.D. Vance, I mean, look
So
what
the
she
guy who
picked.
served 21 years is a buffoon because
He's a buffoon.
because he claimed he misspoke.
No, He lied, Brian.
Well, he
he
said
know
he
exactly
misspoke.
what his rank
So
was.
he was talking about weapons of war, something that
He
Republicans
said
don't
he
want to
carried
talk
it
about.
in war. He
Right.
lied.
He was talking about
He
weapons
lied
of war.
about his rank, which you can never do.
So you care
He
about
stole
lying.
valor.
You
No,
care about people who
no,
lie,
I
all of a
care
sudden.
about stolen valor.
You care
For
about
people who
stolen
actually
valor.
served, 'cause you have people with boots on the ground right now.
He retired
and
from
he lied
he
about
retired
stolen
from the
valor.
military before he knew that he was going to Iraq.
Yeah,
That's
he
number one. That's
chickened
been
out.
proven.
He chickened out.
He chickened out.
Yeah, he knew they were getting deployed, and he chickened out.
Okay, but Donald Trump didn't dodge the military though. He didn't chicken out.
I-
But Tim Walz, who served for 21 years, chickened out. But Donald Trump, who dodged the military multiple times, even though you claim you don't think he did, he didn't chicken out.
Brian,
he claimed bone spurs.
I apologize because, and again, I respect everybody, but you didn't serve. He
I did not.
He stole
I did not.
valor. He
I
stole
also,
valor.
I also didn't dodge anything.
No,
either.
but he stole valor from other troops who are still fighting right now.
Okay,
That's
well,
basically what it is.
Okay, well,
it's an insult.
that's
It's a
been
slap in the face.
debunked. That hasn't been proven.
It is
You
proven.
can feel
His
that
actual
way.
paperwork said his rank, and then they have what he said on camera, what his rank was. He lied about his rank.
And all of a sudden, you care about lying,
I care about stolen valor.
but you don't care about lying.
Of course I care about
But you're-
lying. I'm just saying, we know what Walz
Is Donald
did.
Trump a liar, or is he a pretty honest guy, or what would you characterize?
I can only go by when I dealt with the campaign. He was amazing. He was
well,
amazing.
maybe the way he dealt with you. I'm not going to deny that, but
You said it yourself.
think
You
he's
go
an
by-
honest guy, or
Well, you go by how people treat you, right?
yeah. So Donald Trump treats women, attacking their looks. He's
You're going full circle from J.D. Vance
I
back
can go,
to that.
Well, I mean, I treat people the way they treat me in personal interaction with them, but I also go by the way they treat others as well. I think that's important. Anyway, let's get back to the calls. We're
Okay.
getting off track. 702-221. Who do we have next here? Ina is next on PTL. Hi, Ina. You're on with Keith. Go right ahead.
Hi, it's Ina.
Ina, I'm sorry.
No problem. I've been called worse. I'm calling from Canada, New Brunswick,
Gotcha.
and I just wanted to know what Mr. there knows about NATO.
I'm not an expert, and I'm not going to pretend to be. But I
Okay.
think they need to pay their fair share. Mr. Trump was having them do that.
Okay. Do you know why NATO was brought in?
The origins of exactly? I do not, ma'am. I mean,
Hitler.
when I was in college, I
Hitler
remember
in the
reading
war.
up on it. It's been a while, but I don't. Again, I don't want to make a false statement or pretend I know all the ins and outs of it. I just, yeah, that's how I feel.
It was brought about because of Hitler, to protect
Yeah.
countries. 32 countries.
And not everybody was paying, though. Not everybody was paying. We were protecting everybody. I personally was tired of being the world's policeman and trying to help everybody out. If we want to help them, they have to pay their fair share. The Democrats say it every day, right? Pay your fair
So does
share in
Canada.
taxes, right? They say it every
So
day.
does
Pay your fair
Canada.
share in taxes. How about NATO pay their fair share? That's all we're trying to look out there, and I think that makes common sense. They want us to be
You-
part of it.
Okay, here's another honest question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think Putin called all 32 countries in NATO and said, hey, I'm attacking Ukraine?
I don't want to get into the mind of that maniac. I
Well,
have
come
no
on. The
idea.
answer would be no, though. Come
Again,
on, that's an easy one.
again,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But,
yeah,
but you're
he's-
saying Biden and Harris were weak? I've heard that from Americans, that they were weak over Putin.
Yeah.
They have nothing to do with it. They can't go in at all.
And we don't want to put our own troops on the ground there. I appreciate your call.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
I think that's a really good point. I appreciate your call. Let's go to Stephanie.
Thank you.
Stephanie is next up on PTL. Hey, Stephanie, what's going on?
Hi, Keith and
Hi.
Brian.
Hey.
Keith, I wanted to thank you for your service, and I also wanted to clarify some things
Sure,
that
ma'am.
you aren't quite informed about. The Veterans Access to Care Through Choice Accountability and Transparency Act was signed in 2014 under Obama. Now, a bill doesn't get enacted right away, so it takes time. Under the Trump administration, the bill went into action, right?
Correct. Keith, you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I just know,
Okay,
ma'am, I can
so-
only go off by what the VA was under Obama and what the VA was under Mr. Trump. I mean, it's,
But I think what she's
Correct.
saying
But
is
that
that
bill, they worked very hard to get
Right.
that bill done.
right.
correct.
That bill was signed in 2014. Bills don't go into action right away.
Mm-hmm.
So Donald Trump gets to take credit for a bill that actually became enacted under his administration.
That's true.
He tried to take money from the Veterans Associations. He couldn't understand why we spent so much money on it. That was a big issue with him. And also, he added $3.6 trillion to our national debt in the first part of his presidency.
That
That's
was because
before
of
COVID.
COVID. No, COVID added a lot.
No,
of that debt, ma'am.
pre-COVID.
The combined was $8.2 trillion, actually.
Have you seen what the debt is now under Mr. Biden?
Nowhere near
Mr.
where.
Biden has done 4.2%.
Okay, now you're
trillion.
just throwing numbers out
And
there, but we can
hold
disagree
on,
on that.
let me finish. I can please. 2.1 trillion was enacted under COVID under the Biden administration, and 2.3 was put towards the veterans care for the PACT Act. That's where the money went under the Biden debt.
It is important to
And the
note.
remaining-
It is important to note that Donald Trump put us $8.2 trillion in debt in 4 years. Partially, yes, because
Yes,
of
I was gonna
COVID.
Not
finish
partially,
that.
I would say
Yeah, yeah.
mostly.
Yes.
We can disagree.
3.6 trillion of that was enacted prior to COVID.
Correct.
The remaining was due to the tariff war in China.
Right.
that-
Oh, don't even
that
get me
he
started with
created.
tariffs. Don't get me started with the
Right.
tariff
But
conversation.
he-
Oh,
Right.
as my grandmother
But
used to
he
say,
is
"Oy
the
vez
one who
mia."
destroyed the soy farmers, right? Like, he put soy farmers out of business because China refused to buy our soy.
Right. Right.
Ma'am,
They're the biggest
actual
purchaser.
take home pay under Mr. Trump was 8% higher than is Mr. Biden. Is 1% under Biden take home pay. Our wallets were bigger under Mr. Trump. Our bank account was bigger under Mr. Trump.
For the top 1%, absolutely.
no,
He-
that's not accurate.
He
at
gave
all.
he gave the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% in 3 decades.
Okay, that's fine, but the middle
Kamala
class
Harris
did
wants
better.
to put down the tax breaks at, I would respectfully disagree with you, 28%. She wants to tax
So
people
we're
under.
going to elect Kamala Harris to fix the stuff that she screwed up.
What did she screw up?
Wasn't she bragging about casting the vote on the Inflation Reduction Act or the Green New Deal that caused the inflation?
Inflation's under 3%.
It was 9% a year ago.
It's under 3% now.
Yeah, I know, but the average American family paid over $30,000 out of their own pocket over the last 4 years. They never would have paid on it.
We were coming out of a global pandemic.
So how long are you guys going to use that for a blanket statement? Going to hide
We're
behind
under
COVID?
3% now. I'm not using it at all.
Oh, yeah,
We're
but-
doing better than all the other G7 countries around the world. Our NASDAQ is through the roof. Manufacturing jobs through the roof. The lowest unemployment we've had in 50 years.
And that's great. Have you been to a grocery store today?
What does that have to do with what I just said?
I'm just saying.
Inflation's under 3%.
Groceries were a lot cheaper under Mr. Trump than they were
Because,
under Mr. Biden.
because we had a global pandemic.
Okay,
and we have a
back to
war in the
pandemic
Ukraine.
again. And we have a war in the Ukraine.
Wait, so
Okay.
you don't think the pandemic has anything to do with inflation? Is that what you're saying?
Well, she cast the break vote, right? That caused the inflation. She brags about it. And what did she say? Bidenomics is working.
It is. We're under
It's not
3%.
working. People are in debt. Do you not get that? People had no money. They ran up their own personal debt under Biden.
And Joe Biden is the guy. That's not factually accurate.
is
But Joe
factually
Biden, if you
accurate.
care about debt, Joe Biden had student loan debt forgiveness, which MAGA Republicans seem to be against.
Yeah, because you know why? I used the GI Bill. It works. Use the GI Bill. You want to go to college? Go serve your
So
country.
you're angry that people are in debt, but you don't want Joe Biden using student debt forgiveness to help
well,
Americans
I
that are in
don't
debt.
get angry.
You don't want to raise minimum wage?
Well, no. Why should I have to pay for someone else's student loan debt when I went and served my country and used a GI Bill
Well,
to get me through college?
I disagree with your assessment of that because
factual,
because
though.
I had to suffer. Everybody else should have to suffer too. I don't think is a legitimate excuse for helping people that are struggling in this country right now. But let's take some more phone calls. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Lou. Lou is next up on PD. We'll do like 10 more minutes. Is that okay, Keith?
That's fine, bro.
All right, thanks. Keith's a good sport. He's getting roughed up here. It'd be nice if a MAGA caller could give me some crap, but he's being a good sport about it. All right,
You
let's
guys
go
are
to Lou.
great.
Lou, what's going on, man? You're on with Keith. Go right ahead.
Hey, Brian, great show.
Thank you.
Keith, thanks for taking my questions. I didn't talk about baseball. I didn't call to talk about baseball, but go Giants, lifelong Giants fan. Anyway, I didn't call to talk about Waltz, but Waltz, he could have retired, but he re-upped after 9/11.
Right, correct.
So that's a fact there.
Correct. He didn't retire.
But he knew he was going to get
Right.
deployed, though, and he stepped out. He knew he was
Well,
going
he
to get
did
deployed.
re-up after 9/11. He could have retired prior 9/11.
Yeah, but he lied. He stole valor, man. He lied about his rank. He lied about where he served. It's just it's a spit in the face. It's disgusting.
Donald Trump lying about bone spurs, is that a spit in the face?
Well, no.
Right.
Mr. Trump
Okay, I have a
didn't
quick
serve.
question.
He actually served, though. There's a difference.
I agree. One is a hero and one is a coward.
Well,
I agree.
No, just because you
There is a
serve
difference.
doesn't make you a hero. You have bad people.
I think if you dodge the military, that makes you a coward.
Yeah, but well, we don't know that he dodged. You're
According to
making
the
an
doctor,
assertion.
according to the doctor that wrote the note, his family members have all said that has happened. So I put some. Listen, I want to see his medical records. Won't release them.
He doesn't have to, though. I mean,
I never said he had to.
Yeah.
Why won't he?
I don't know.
He mocks Kamala Harris for having seasonal allergies. By the way, she released her medical records. He went to Walter Reed, I think, in 2018 or 2019. Sure. We have no idea what happened. We don't know if he had a stroke. We know nothing. I disagree, though.
Seems fine to me. So
I think, well, he doesn't seem fine to me, both mentally or physically. And I think the American people deserve to know what his medical records are.
He could stand up there and talk for 3 hours straight without a teleprompter. I've seen
3 hours babbling about sharks and Hannibal Lecter and calling people ugly and calling people stupid. I don't.
Can I ask one quick question?
Oh, go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. Hey, 2019, Iranian forces bombed a small U.S. military base on the Syrian border. Many soldiers had brain injuries, but Trump said they had headaches. What do you think about that statement?
That's a good question, Keith.
Sir, again, I apologize. I don't know that story, and
so there were
dozens
of soldiers that got traumatic brain injury. And they've said on the record they have TBI. There's medical records of that.
Sure.
And Donald Trump has characterized them as minor headaches. I just think that is crapping on our military once again, but he has a history of that, and that gentleman who just called in is right. And I actually forgot about that. All right, let's take. You don't want to comment on that? That's okay.
No, I would say, but there was no greater support of the military than Mr. Trump. 1,000%.
Okay, but if military members under his watch get traumatic brain injury, he characterized it as minor headaches.
I am scared to death if she becomes the president of the United States. There's no way she's going to be able to handle Putin. I think Taiwan's in serious trouble if she becomes president. That's my own personal opinion.
Okay. I don't think handling Putin is writing love letters to evil, murderous dictators and sending COVID tests in the middle of COVID to evil, murderous dictators and siding with evil, murderous dictators over our own CIA or FBI. I don't think that shows strength. I think that shows weakness, and Kamala Harris has talked about
Putin
that.
never attacked anybody under Mr. Trump.
Again, you keep using that, but
because it's factual.
There's no evidence. And by the way,
there is evidence. He didn't do it. How much more evidence do you need?
So you're making the case because something doesn't happen.
But then it did happen under Mr. Biden.
It must have happened because Joe Biden was president.
Yes.
And
there's
again,
a perceived weakness with him.
And again, when we talk about COVID, that's not Donald Trump's fault because he's so tough on China. But yet when we talk about...
But more people died under COVID, under Mr. Biden.
And again, there are reasons for that. Because he left office, we were losing 3,000 to 5,000 people a day. The mess that he left Joe Biden.
He got 3 vaccines. Is that a mess?
What do you mean he got? What is that?
I mean, Mr. Trump gave him 3 vaccines, and more people still died under Mr. Biden.
So you're talking
That's
about
factual.
You're talking about Operation Warp Speed, which so many MAGA Republicans want to give Donald Trump credit for, yet so many MAGA Republicans are anti-vaccine. I don't think you could have it both ways. But let's go to Lauren. Lauren is next up on PTL. Hello, Lauren.
Hi. Keith, thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I really don't have any... The point I wanted to bring out is there is nothing in the Constitution about church and state.
I didn't say there was. I never said there was something in the Constitution that said separation between church and state. My personal opinion is you should separate your religion when it comes to policy. I think it's absurd.
Well, I think it is.
It is? So all these right-wing evangelicals out there and all these MAGA Republicans out there that think
you're talking about a segment of the population.
Yeah, and I am. And part of that segment, like the Mike Johnsons of the world, think that women that have abortions are murderers, and that is why in 20 states in this country it is illegal to have an abortion, and in some of those states, no exceptions are rape or incest. That's why we should have a separation between church and state. No matter what your religious beliefs are, which I respect, by the way. I'm not poo-pooing on your religion. Keith has his own opinions. I respect that. But you know what Keith said? A really big fundamental agreement that we have. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your body. Leave me alone and my family. I agree with that, and I think Keith agrees with that. Separation between church and state. And I don't care what it says in the Constitution. I don't.
Well, why have a Constitution? Anyway, as far as what you brought up, a woman's body.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in the state of Nevada, if you get in an accident and the woman is pregnant and you kill the baby,
that's true.
What is that?
So let me just get this right. You're comparing a woman who's pregnant in a car accident and the baby she is carrying dying to a 13-year-old girl who was molested or raped.
I'm not talking about it.
Well, guess what? I am.
We're talking about abortion in general.
I am.
You want to take it to
I
the
am.
extreme.
And you don't want to talk about that.
I have no problem with a child that has been raped having an abortion.
Well, guess what? Guess what, Lauren? There are states in this country that do, with right-wing fools, as I would call them, buffoons, who do. And that's why out of those 20 states...
Do you think Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a fool?
I think anybody is a fool.
Do you think that the justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, was a fool?
No. Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because she felt that the decision that was initially made about abortion back in the 70s should never have taken place.
So you want me to
should have
comment?
gone
You
to
want
the
me to
state.
comment about the decision she made before I was born? I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that, sir. I'm talking about 2024.
geez.
And
Well,
because of your opinion, Lauren, with all due respect, that you have no problem with any separation between church and state, there are young girls, and God forbid, there are women in this country that could be raped or the victim of incest, and you seem to have no problem with right-wing, middle-aged white dudes, with all due respect to us, telling women what to do with their body, even if they're the victim of incest or rape. That's why I want a separation between church and state. Have a nice day, Lauren. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next up on PTL. What's up, Dave?
Hi. I just got into this conversation about 15 minutes ago.
Oh, I apologize.
And I notice a pattern pretty quickly with the way your guest is responding to hard questions. And I call it deflection. And, I have no opinion on that. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I thank you for your service. And, I got prayers for you. And that's what is so frustrating, is that when you try to have a conversation, you're right out there with it. You don't hide. You bare your soul, and he refuses to. He refuses.
Well, I'll let Keith comment on
that. He just
that.
sits back so suave and like nothing's going to bother him, and he's going to respond, the hell with you guys and what you think. And I don't have to answer your questions. I'm just going to say, I don't know.
Well, Keith
I don't
has
know
answered.
how to answer that.
Keith has answered
how about
some.
having an opinion? How about having an opinion instead of I don't know?
Well, let's let Keith respond to that. Go ahead, Keith.
I apologize, sir, if you're only listening for 15 minutes, but I think I've answered quite a bit of the questions Brian's given to me. You may not agree with them, you may not like them, and I'm sorry. I'm also not going to comment on something. I don't have enough information, I have enough data to go through it. Some people talk just to talk to hear their own voice, or they put out fake news on purpose. I'm not going to do that. But I hope you have a great day, and I'm sorry if I upset you.
As a whole, I agree with what you just said, but I'll use it in the case of Donald Trump in this aspect.
Sure.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud that could have changed the outcome of the 2020 election. To this day, nobody's come forward with any real evidence to show it. Yet, almost 70% of Republicans think Donald Trump won the 2020 election, and yet they have no problem making the case. He still does to this very day.
Do you think there was any election interference in 2020?
So there's a difference between, the Russians interfered on social media. That was actually proven. Absolutely. Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, that was proven in a court of law.
Remember about they snuffed out the Hunter laptop thing?
So what's in the Hunter laptop that's so damning?
Well, from what I understand, a lot of his business dealings.
There is no evidence that there were any laws that were broken in that laptop. It's never come forward.
There's quite a money trail there, and
there's no money trail. Nobody says there's
and
nothing.
Jack at Twitter, they snuffed it out. So did Facebook.
But what's in that laptop? That's criminal. There's no evidence.
We
don't
know
understand.
that, and not to mention,
you're right. You don't know that. So why are you bringing it up?
At that particular time, though, they said, was it 12 to 15% of the people said if they'd known about Hunter's laptop, it would have affected the election.
Okay, so first of all, we don't.
That's election interference.
What's in the laptop?
Well, a lot of his dealings. His
You don't
shenanigans he
know
was doing.
that.
Come on.
What do you mean? Come on. You say you don't. With all due respect, you say you don't want to comment
There's
on.
no doubt in my mind, Hunter Biden was making millions through China.
So you don't want to
Ukraine,
comment
wherever.
on certain things if you don't have all the quote data. You just said that, but you have no problem making assumptions
But I'm also
of what's in
not
Hunter
stupid.
Biden's. I didn't say that.
No, I'm not talking to myself.
But
I know you didn't.
But you don't want to make assumptions about because you don't have the data. Which, by the way, I can appreciate you saying that. But then when it comes to Hunter Biden's laptop, you have no idea. Neither do I. What's in Hunter Biden's laptop? What we do know is he hasn't been charged with anything.
Why did Twitter take it down? By the way, Mr. Trump said
I'll tell you why. That's a good question. Because there were people that were making claims on the far right that he was molesting children and that there were crimes in that laptop that were not true. There's no evidence that he was molesting children or young Asian girls. I heard some crazy crap on social media. That's why Tina Peters is in jail right now, because she did this show and she made claims that were completely unsubstantiated. This whole thing about the Hunter Biden laptop. First of all, nobody knows what's in the laptop, and what we do know is that there's no
nobody
crimes.
knows what's on it, why'd they take it down?
They took it down. I just told you, because
I know,
people
but
were saying things that were not true. That he's a child molester.
Then put it out there. They should have put it out
And not
there.
only that, but it's Joe Biden's son.
And you saw Zuckerberg.
Like, I don't even understand. It's Joe Biden's son.
It was Facebook.
We're talking
too.
about family members now?
I understand, but there again, 12 to 15% of people said if they'd known about the Hunter Biden laptop, it would have
And
affected their vote.
70% of Republicans say that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. I say, Keith, with all due respect, so what? People say things that are not true. Some people think the earth is flat, and some people think the Hunter Biden laptop would have had this huge impact on the election. I
think it
respectfully disagree.
Okay, we can agree.
Yeah, I
disagree on that.
respectfully disagree. All right, we got to sneak in a few more quick calls, then we got to go to break. I got to get you out of here, man. Who are we going to? Let's go to Jeff. Jeff is next up on PTL. Hey, Jeff, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? I'll be quick. Keith.
Yes, sir.
Keith. Let's just tell it like it is. You don't want to risk losing a paycheck. So what comes across to anybody listening is that you're a hypocrite and you are choosing to be a coward in your selective avoidance and selective ignorance about Trump's horrible behavior, just in case Trump wins. So you saying that is a fact doesn't make it a fact. Facts get in the way of every point you try to make. You have compromised whatever values you have for a paycheck.
Well,
from
let's let
a
Keith respond to that.
Asset.
Let's let Keith respond to that. Go ahead, Keith.
Sir, all due respect, I honorably served my country for 6 years. I got honorable discharge on the way out, and I've got other awards I served. I served in a foreign land. So
Yeah.
use the word coward. I'm sorry. I'm going to disagree with you on that. All right. When it was my time, I went. I enlisted during the Iraq War. So if that makes me a coward, we can disagree on that. As far as the paycheck, I haven't worked for the campaign in 4 years. It was the opportunity of a lifetime. I will always love working for a sitting president. I think he's a great man. Now, if you see it differently, that's fine. I respect your opinion. Hope you can respect mine.
All right. Well, I will end by saying this. I agree in sentiment that while we might disagree on a lot of different issues, besides being a talented artist, I respect, first of all, anybody that serves this country like you did, and I'll say it again.
Yep.
And I do consider you a hero for that. And you're a heck of an artist too. So you're a stand-up guy for coming in here and taking the punches.
Oh, you guys are
which
great.
which you knew you would take, but I'd like to do it again with you sometime down the road. And maybe when it's a little less emotional during the elections, maybe at some point down the road. This was fun.
I don't think it was that emotional. I think it was just two guys talking.
We had a good conversation, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
And I'd love to do it again with you sometime. And I hope you and your family have a wonderful election night. I hope you guys don't win. But I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to let you pick your daughter up from school.
Thank you,
you
sir.
for being here. I really do appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
I want to give out your information again.
Oh, sure.
For anybody that wants to even just check out some of your work.
Yes, sir.
You can check it out at whitehouseswag.com. And I will say this, even though, like I said, me and Keith disagree on a lot of political issues, he is one heck of an artist.
Or you can
man.
go to Keith Pencil on Twitter,
Okay.
too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And thank you for being here. And I'd love to
Yeah.
have you in again sometime. And congratulations to your Dodgers, by the way. All right. There you go. Keith Tomcyzk, everybody, the official artist president of the 2020 presidential campaign. We're going to